Hi everyone, I'm Beatrice and I'll be taking over BMPD's social media for the week of June 20th to the 26th. And today I wanted to share my second year experience of doing school online, talking about how I had to manage my schedule with an online environment, the struggles I had to face and how I got through them. Because wow, second year was not easy this year. So I guess I'll go over first the schedule that I had for the fall term. So we'll start off Monday. I had an 11:35 to 12:35 intro to data storytelling class. That was a synchronous meeting, so it was 1 hour, but everything usually it probably is a 3-hour class. Everything else you had to do on your own time, like discussions on See You Learn, assignments, readings were all on your own time. On Tuesday, had a 2:35 to 3:55 class, a Zoom class, synchronous for data management. Wednesday from 11:30 to 12:15, I had a media writing class. Again, that was you go for the class meeting, but everything else was on your own time. And I think I had an asynchronous class that day. It's a film elective for authorship in film and media for Stanley Kubrick. So asynchronous class, I had to watch everything, the lectures on my own time, and then the movies on my own time as well. There was no discussion groups, everything. There was like 3 assignments, and one of the 3 was including the final exam, so everything was up to you to get done. And then Thursday, I had a really long day. Starting at 9:30 to 10:30 a.m. was a Basics of Visual Communications 1 class call. And again, it was just like a call just to meet up with everybody. And then all the other discussions and class coursework was on See You Learn. After that class, I had a 11:30 to 1:30 p.m. tutorial for data management, synchronous as well. There was a Zoom call you could go into and ask questions for your TA and then submit it at a deadline, but you didn't have to go to if you didn't have any questions. And there was a 2:35 to 3:55 p.m. class for data management, a Zoom class again. And my Fridays were completely free, and yeah, that was my fall term schedule for the second year. And one thing I had to struggle with trying to figure out how to schedule my time with this course load is that I had to figure out, since I was scheduling everything according to its synchronous time meetings, which was only the hour classes of that day. But compared to an in-person class, you have the travel time, an hour getting there, and then it would be like a 3-hour course as opposed to a 1-hour course online. So I think that was my first mistake of trying to plan it out to the class calls, because even though you have the call, you still have the 2 hours left, which would have been in person, which is the time that you're supposed to be actually doing the work yourself. So instead of taking off at the end of class, you're actually supposed to be doing work, or before class starts is the work time. So I had to make that into my schedule. So that's one of the things that I was kind of excited for in an online school situation, is that you have a lot of flexibility, which can be really exciting because you don't have to travel a lot. You can just roll out of bed and get into class. And flexibility also allowed me to manage my time in a way that I can schedule projects in like almost any time that I wanted. You can work around it a lot, but there's obviously a lot of downsides to having more flexibility, in that you have to actually schedule your events and make sure that you're actually doing the work. So there's ups and downs to that. And I think for me, knowing that I had a lot of flexibility, I took that to a whole new level of advantage for me. So in a way, with online environments, you don't really have that university experience that everybody wishes they could have. The social life, everything is just, you're at home, everything is just through a screen. So that kind of sucks in that way. And for me, I knew this was going to be a really big challenge. So in a way, I kind of used more work to kind of distract myself from that feeling of like isolation, of like loneliness, from not having to go out as much or like do a lot of things. So in addition with like the flexibility of my courses, I took up a lot of work in order to keep me distracted throughout this whole pandemic. So starting second year online, I also started a part-time job as a cashier. And even before coming into second year, I already knew I'm gonna help run a club, the Carleton Film Society, as the head of productions with focus on logistics. But that wasn't enough for me, so I had another job offer for webmaster at a church, so for their website. So that was another job I took on, and then on that I took another club. This one I wasn't running, but I'm actually in the club participating. So this was CCO, another one associated with Carleton. It's the Catholic Christian Outreach. So I did all of that, and on top of school at the same time, which was kind of crazy, but looking back at it, but in a way that kind of staying busy and distracted it kind of helped me stay sane in going through online. And that was like, now looking back, it wasn't really the best way for me to deal with that, but I think at the time that was the way that I knew how to deal with that. That's the way I knew how it would make me kind of just survive online world in that way. So then everything started going well. I kind of got the used to it of having 2 jobs and being in 2 clubs and also going to school at the same time. It was getting easier for me, but then everything, I guess, was feeling too good to be true. Then we had one of my family members we thought might have gotten would have been positive. They might have gotten in contact with somebody else who's positive. So then that kind of took me out of work for a little bit, having to stay home, had to get tested before I could even go back to work. So I had to focus on that for a little bit. And then after my whole isolation period and thinking I could go back to work the next day, I got hit with this like massive toothache that it really just got me bedridden. I couldn't really like focus on a lot of things. I failed one quiz I had to do with this toothache. I really couldn't focus on anything. So at that moment where I was just like in pain and I couldn't focus on anything else, it made me kind of reflect on how much I have been doing, because I couldn't do much at that point. I could barely even focus on school. So when my health was like at its lowest, I was thinking like, that is a lot that I have been doing. After that, when my tooth got all sorted out, we removed it, there was no more pain. Did not do anything after that reflection. I just kept on going. Sometimes you don't really have much to think about when things just keep coming your way. You just have to keep on going to the next thing. So I kept on going, still running and doing everything. And I was on this like high. I was on this high of like, wow, I've somehow been able to juggle all of this on top of everything of being in a pandemic. School, work, club, school, work, club, it was an insane time. But I was like, I didn't feel like it was a lot of work at the time. I just thought like, I should just like keep going. I should see what I could do next. What is something else that I could better myself so I can improve? And I was trying to reach that limit, It was like, what is the limit? How will I even know the limit if I don't push myself enough to get to the limit? So then I did reach the limit, and there are many consequences that I had to deal with for reaching that limit, but I will talk more about that in the next video. But I think everything that I've done in the past I wouldn't change at all. I think I had to learn in that way of how to take care of myself better, because I don't think I would have learned how it felt like to be just drained after pushing myself like that, of having to realize how I should actually schedule my time to make sure I have time to take care of myself. So I think I will go more in depth of what I've learned in the next video, but that was just more of what happened in my fall term, and how much I had to do in order to stay a little bit sane throughout this whole online experience. But thank you for listening, and I hope you stay tuned for the rest of the content I have for the week.